And I'm our Regional Vice President at Salesforce for our ISV and partner business. I look after our business across Northern Europe and UK and I.
I'm a leadership and confidence coach. I work mainly with corporates and people in my private practice.
So I work as an agile coach now. I've been working in IT for about 16 years.
I'm a founder and CEO of Capirum Consulting Limited. I've worked as an ICF accredited executive coach, trainer, and facilitator for over 10 years. And I also happen to have a background in the old days as a professional actor as well.
I run my own business. My own background is within pharmaceuticals.
What I love about ORSC is the fact that it is a journey. It is a journey, and I strongly believe that the learning process in my profession never ends. With ORSC, I feel really that is an ongoing process, and I like the sense of community. So you feel this element of caring.
It's about the relationship between people and how systems work. So quite often when we're looking at coaching, we're looking at it at a one-to-one basis. But when you take it at a higher level and you look at coaching more holistically within a system, you can start to put things into context more. And I think that really helps the coachee. And as a coach, it adds a new dynamic to coaching.
What I love about ORSC was having the opportunity to learn more about coaching systems, which is something that's really quite new for me, but I've been getting more opportunities to be able to work in that space. So that was great. And also just to learn about coaching around conflict and disputes, which in the unknown, it can also feel a little bit scary, but actually attending fundamentals was really good at reassuring us and giving us some basic skills and some signposts as to what to look out for. But I think one other thing I'd like to say about ORSC is their community. You know, they've got these community calls that you can join so you can continue with your professional development.
What stood out for me was ORSC talks about relationship building and also combines a system thinking thought process and merges it with coaching. So you get flavors of all these three aspects, and really helps you as a coach in trying to understand issues, understand system constraints, and then help individuals, teams, and leadership to focus their energy in trying to resolve those constraints.
Other types of coaching are more traditional, where you do focus on each individual. And the thing is that it's all about relationships. We always relate with other people. So for a coaching framework to actually focus on the whole system as opposed to each individual makes it become so much more effective. And it actually really moves the system from a starting point to a desired point where they want to be.
We all share our experiences, and most of the people who are joining the courses with ORSC are already professional coaches, HR, or leaders in organization, or consultants.
I've been wanting to take the course for a few years, and now when I had the opportunity to do it virtually, it became reality to me.
I was given an opportunity to coach a group of directors in the Middle East where there was some tension and conflict. And I really wanted to have some basic tools and understanding of what to look out for, which is when ORSC came into my world.
I wasn't quite sure what to expect. So the course certainly met my expectations from a delivery point of view, and then the content was excellent. I think the biggest thing I took out from the course was being a virtual course, and traditionally it was due to have been held in London. Being virtual meant that there was a much more diverse group of people in the course. We had people from lots of different industries, individual coaches, the different geographics, so people from very different backgrounds and different countries, and it makes it a whole lot easier to meet new people from different backgrounds, and it gives you a really good perspective on things because you're just not in that myopic IT world that we tend to be in.
It exceeded my expectations. To me, it's like we use every minute in the best way. So there are many concrete exercises, and you get time to work through those and experience them as a coach and as a coachee. And also there was enough time to reflect in between the exercises, which I have missed in some other courses.
Yeah, I would highly recommend the course. And in fact, I have recommended it internally here at Salesforce. It's something that we're looking at, and it's been recommended inside of Salesforce and recommended to a number of people inside of Salesforce. I think the way in which the course is run takes a number of the training programs we run internally and the coaching programs we have internally at Salesforce to a whole new level. So yeah, I would highly recommend it to anybody looking at where coaching is going to be used for organization design, change management, any of those capabilities. It's an executive tool that is an amazing tool to go use.
I would recommend the course, and I would recommend the course if you are ready to have a different approach, to see things from a different perspective. If you're open to have a fresh mind, if you're open to be a learner, if you're open to develop yourself, because of course, what I found out is that it is very important to understand how those things are working with you, and then you can share those things with your clients.
I would recommend the course. I think if you're planning to work with a group, a system, I think it's really important to have some basic fundamentals down. And even if you don't continue with the program, just having those fundamentals is really essential, because the dynamics is completely different to when you're working one-on-one.
I would recommend it to in-house leaders in pretty much any leadership position. It could be on a lower level or mid-level of leaders, and it could also be at like top leaders, top managements, and as well as, I mean, coaches and facilitators. We are going to do a much better work with ORSC.
People who work as an agile coach or as a scrum master, they need to understand relationship building, system understanding, system thinking, and have those tools in their inventory to try out and overcome all the issues that they see and observe.
It is about really this awareness, even more awareness of how we can work effectively with teams, even when there are conflicts, for instance, when there are different ideas in the room, and how to work with them, how to be open-minded enough to navigate those waters together with clients.
It has impacted my work in the way that I focus on what the system needs instead of trying to fulfill individual needs. When you look at the system needs, it becomes depersonalized. So it's okay to talk about pretty much anything because it belongs to the system. It's not a certain person.
One of the things that I take out from this is really looking at some of the organizational changes that we make within the business and realizing that actually it's a whole system that is operating. It's no single person. So one of the lovely things I heard from the course and really resonates with me now is that actually everybody's right, albeit partially right, but people are not wrong. It's a perspective that they have.
That too exceeded my expectations, because I had some kind of imagination that would be hindering in me, like totally experiencing what was going on and to get a feel for what was going on in the room and the energy, and it has worked extremely well, and it works so well since we have the technical, like the tech host that helps out with everything. It works so smoothly, so it hasn't even once been like that we've been hindered by technology. It's worked super smooth. And with all the breakout rooms, I actually feel like I meet with people. I get to know people during the course, even though it's virtually.
What fundamentals taught me was, how do we set the stage? How do we build confidentiality? How do we build that agreement though remote working, talking or having a conversation remotely. That's the practice that I have taken away from it, practicing coaching virtually. Doing it virtually brought a lot of different participants and people from different places, and that's interesting.
I think if you're curious about working with teams, working with systems, and exploring coaching people that are in conflict or dispute, then this is a great taster course. This will give you an understanding of what a system is, what your role in the system is, and how you can work with it. I also think that networking piece is really vital. You become part of this ORSC family and you meet people on the training course. And again, as I said, like, it's been really great and useful for me to connect into that network. So if I've got any queries that I can approach them and brainstorm some ideas with them.
The recommendation of anybody taking the course is to really set aside the time and the space that you need to focus on virtual learning, because it's very different to when you go to a course and you're locked in a room. So you have to be very self-disciplined. I think the format of the course allows you to do that if you can create the right workspace. And again, I'm very lucky, I have multiple monitors in my home office. And so some of the exercises, it was very easy to have notes, have the exercise running and have video running. And so I'd say, again, taking part in any virtual course, screen real estate is an absolute must to really maximize getting your own personal value out of it, because then it's easier, it's less tiring on you, and you just have a whole better experience.
My advice to people who are going to join this course, be open to ideas, be open to be vulnerable, be open to talk about your weaknesses, be open to talk about your strength, and bring yourself, bring your emotions, bring yourself, and enjoy this course.